Mike, Phillies went out, traded the trade we all saw coming for Hunter Pence. And, I think if they wouldn't have got Hunter Pence, they would have got Melky Cabrera or some other, Jeff Francoeur, whatever the names are. Fans would have been disappointed because this was the name that was so hyped up so long that anything short of that, even if it was a quality player, would have not satisfied them. So they got the player that Amaro wanted, that was so hyped up. Is it a good move to have him in here?
I think it's a pretty good move. I'm not. I don't think I'm quite as excited about it as a lot of other people are. But I think the thing that made this, I don't want to use the word necessary, but made this a big want for the Phillies, I think, and this is something that nobody has talked about, is that John Mayberry and Ben Francisco have utterly failed to hit left-handers. So they were not able to do. They both have been worse this year against left-handers than against right-handers, even though they're right-handed hitters, and even though Francisco has an excellent track record over the course of his career hitting left-handers. If those guys could hit left-handers, then you could platoon at the corner outfield spots, and the Phillies would be a much less left-handed team. Mm-hmm. They'd be harder to deal with late innings when you're mixing and matching in the bullpen and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the kind of thing that was, for me, kind of the tipping point where this trade, which makes this trade a good one. Hunter Pence is a good player. He's going to bat fifth. He's around a 300 hitter, and I think it's a pretty good deal.
His power's down this year, but he's making a lot of contact. What I've already seen in the few games he's played is the first game he was in the lineup fifth, Ryan Howard went 4 for 4 with a home run. The next game that Pence played, Ibanez, the guy batting right behind Pence, had 2 home runs, had a game-winning hit. So it seems like the pitchers, because he's in there, and Pence was on base when Ibanez hit a home run, when he knocked in off a double, when Pence was on base, he knocked Pence in for the winning run. It seems like pitchers have to pitch those guys differently because of him in the lineup as well. So it's sort of...
Well, we'll see if that turns out to be the case. I mean,
it has in 2 games. I've given you out of 3 games.
2 games, yeah.
But 2 games is not a season make, but it's a good start.
True. But again, and this guy's good defensively. But we talk about the kind of things that... I mean, this is just out of the blue, but... the Astros also kind of gave away Michael Bourne. Not gave away, but they gave a very favorable deal to the Braves for Michael Bourne, who is a leadoff man. And his offensive numbers the last 3 years are very close to Hunter Pence. I was surprised about this when I saw it. And if the Phillies had got him, then they would have a real leadoff man, which they don't have, and a defensive plus center fielder. You get much better defensively in the outfield. I didn't even think about acquiring Michael Bourne, and neither did the Phillies, but you could see how that might have worked, except that the Phillies have this, I think, irrational belief in Jimmy Rollins as a leadoff man and a spark plug, and he just makes us go and all that kind of stuff. So that's not going to happen because of that. So there's a lot of subtle things that you have to think about in these deals other than just the value of the players, and I think that's kind of unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
I think that was a really good point. I thought when the Pence talks were getting pretty high stakes with who was going to be given up, I did think of Michael Bourne because I love what he does on base for them, and I thought, who knows if they're going to bring Jimmy Rollins back next year. Maybe they do know they're bringing him back, but if not, here's legit. And I think he signed for even 2013. I think he even has one more year. Mm-hmm. And the Braves have had some pretty decent leadoff hitters over the years, but they haven't recently.
Not recently. So and awful. Their outfield is worse offensively than the Phillies by far. Yeah.
One thing that bothers me about the Hunter Pence trade, I'm glad they have him for 2 more years after this, is Singleton, the guy in single A, was a first base, and they tried him in outfield because his path in first base was blocked. Is a really good hitter. But he's 19 years old, and he's in single A, and so was the pitcher at Cozart. The Phillies in the next 3 years, the Phillies in the next 3 years can replenish the system in those guys because they're going to have 3 more drafts. I mean, you can. Well, they've drafted very well the last couple of years. Cozart was a 38th round pick. If you spend the money on those late round picks, get those guys signed, they can do it. I still think, and I think they're not done yet, there's going to be something in that bullpen, one of these late season kind of deals like they did when they got Scott Air, where they get somebody claim them off the waivers. But you won't see a big name come in because they're 29th right now on the waiver wire. So
no, you won't see a big name.
A lefty.
I think you're probably right. I think they're probably not done.
Lefty.
I think they're probably not done. I agree with you.